You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma podcast. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, I've got to thank our sponsors. First of all, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. They've been a huge part of this podcast for the last few years. So the Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is the Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. Our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them. Do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And the one thing that I do with the sponsors that I have is stuff that I use and recommend, like the Diffies with my car, Hall of Fame. They're awesome. Citizens Banks, where I bank. Chickasaw Nation, huge supporter of Oklahoma. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too. But I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC. And hopefully our pups will run into each other. This episode is brought to you by the Oklahoma State Treasurer Unclaimed Property Division. Oklahoma has more than $1 billion of unclaimed property. Reclaim what's rightfully yours. Visit YourMoney.ok.gov and enter your name to find out if you have lost money from utility deposits, uncashed checks, life insurance policies, or more. If you've got a minute, search for free and visit YourMoney.ok.gov. All right. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. We are currently sat at the bar at the Hamilton right now in the Speakeasy. It's a beautiful setting. If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook or maybe an Instagram reel, it's a beautiful background, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce my guest today, Chris Kana, who has the Hamilton, Dado's, Cafe 7. Dado's is probably recently on the radar for most people because it was voted best pizza in Oklahoma City. Yep. Fantastic pizza. Obviously the Hamilton, and then everyone knows Cafe 7 too. I love Cafe 7. The Bison Powerball, I want to say, is a go-to for me. Is that right?
Yeah,
or the Powerball?
Salmon Powerball. We used to have bison. We used to have some bison on the menu.
Yeah, Salmon Powerball. And a great chicken salad sandwich.
Yeah.
Rocking. But yeah, Chris, appreciate you having me in today. Appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to share some of your story. People know the concepts around this area, and if they're listening and they're not from Oklahoma City, then this is a reason for them to come visit and check it out.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, excited. So let's start right here. We're in the Hamilton, we're at the bar, and there's some great knickknacks on the walls and photos and heads, and I mean, yeah, this is a great spot. How does this place come about?
So this was probably about, I would say, 10 years after Cafe 7. We knew we wanted to open up a little higher end place than Cafe 7 with a bar, with some elevated food. So my business partner, Jay, was driving around the mall one day. He picked up a prescription and he saw the gate with an H on it and said, I have the perfect spot for a bar. And I said, well, you'll have to show me. So he brings me around here and I see this old mall that, I thought was dying. And I said to him, are you out of your effing mind? So then the idea kind of grew on me, and we opened up in August 2019, and then we all know what happened in 2020. But we had a good product, and we had a great following before COVID, and we made it out relatively unscathed, and we're celebrating our 5-year anniversary in 2 weeks.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, so by the time this goes out, come by. What's the date of the celebration?
So August 23rd, so I guess it's about a little less than 2 weeks. So August 23rd is the date that we open. So we're going to, we got some stuff in store for the week, some drink specials, some happy hour specials for the whole week.
Yeah, people can check out social media for that?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, awesome. I'll put that link in the description. You can check that out, people listening, and come by and check out that week, celebrate 5 years. Your business partner, Jay, how'd you meet him?
We went to Oklahoma State. I met him in 2000. His freshman year was my second year in college. We were in the same fraternity, and we were in the College of Business together. Fast forward, 3 years later, I was going into my senior year. He was going into his junior year. Our grades were terrible. We were in the College of Business. We didn't know what we wanted to do. We got letters that we were getting kicked out of school the next semester if we didn't get our grades up. And I said, well, what are we going to do? And he said, well, let's join the hotel restaurant program. It's pretty easy, and we'll probably get straight A's. So next semester, we were both on the Dean's Honor Roll, and the rest is history.
What was it that kind of struck a chord with you in the restaurant industry versus general business?
I love being around people. I'd always had an interest in food. And I remember in 8th grade, I loved home economics. I loved that cooking class, and it was just something that really clicked for me and something that piqued my interest. And it was one of the best. It was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, because you could have got kicked out of school if you didn't, right? And now you have 3 concepts, another one coming next year, which we'll get to. But yeah, it's amazing how those little decisions back then have such an effect further on. And you and Jay have this, your business partner, so you have these, these businesses together and lifelong friendship as well. Yep. So, what leads you? I guess let's go a little bit further back. What leads you to go to Oklahoma State?
A scholarship. Okay. Yeah, I had an acceptance letter to OU, and I had one to OSU, but in the end, it just came. I had a $1,200 scholarship, and every little bit helps when it comes to college.
Yeah. And you grew up in Oklahoma City?
Grew up in Ponca City.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Was one of 7 children, and so that was packed house all the time.
Yeah.
Lots of food, lots of fighting.
Yeah. What's the barbecue place? The
Head Country.
Head Country's from Ponca City, right?
Head Country, yes.
Yeah. The world famous barbecue.
Absolutely.
It's so good. You probably just smelled it every day.
My friends in the UK, they have me ship them gallons of barbecue sauce because they can't get anything near as good there.
No, you cannot. I can attest to that. It's nowhere near as good as Head Country. So grew up in Ponca City, big family.
Yep.
Was food, you mentioned a lot of food, so food was a part of your family and a part of culture from a very young age then?
Yeah, with a big family and with us being so busy all the time, my mom tended to everything was always chicken and vegetables, and, I don't really think I ever gained an appreciation for food till I was probably in my late 20s, but I always knew, food was always a passion for me. Cooking was always a passion for me, and the hotel restaurant side of it, specifically the restaurant side, just kind of sucked me in.
Yeah, that hospitality side of it too, right? Is that hosting and putting on a great experience for people.
Exactly.
And you'd probably grown up around just seeing your mom do that for your brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I love it whenever, I see a Google review come across, I get the notification and it says, so-and-so left a 5-star review, and, seeing those 5-star reviews come across on Yelp, but then, also having to deal with the 1-star reviews too, you got to take the good with the bad, and anytime we get those 1-star reviews, we reach out to them and we try to make the situation right, no matter how much it costs and no matter what we have to do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just good business practice, right? And things you also learn in school.
Yes,
for that too.
Absolutely.
It's I love the story, right? I love that, like I said, you're in business school, you get this notification that you guys need to pull your heads out, otherwise you're not going to graduate. And it leads you down a path and you have these concepts. It's fantastic. So you mentioned 3 years after you graduated, you started, is that when Cafe 7 starts?
So Cafe 7 was started 4 years later in 2009.
What happens in that interim then?
So after college, I went to Virginia, and I worked for a corporate restaurant there. I was with them for 4 years, and it was one of our old professors and Jay. They called me whenever I moved back to Tulsa, and they said, "We're opening up this restaurant. Do you want to be a part of it?" And it was like a no-brainer because I was sick of working for somebody else, and I was kind of sold on this dream of being a restaurant owner and being my own boss, and it wasn't as glamorous as I thought it was in the beginning, but it turned into everything I could have hoped and more.
Yeah. So then Cafe 7 opens up,
Yep.
and what was the original, just idea and thought on paper then for Cafe 7, and what kind of appealed to you at that time to think, I want to do this?
Yeah. So Cafe 7, that was it was Jay's capstone project for grad school.
Wow.
And so we took that and ran with it, and we opened up in 2009 when it was the middle of somewhat a recession. People are price conscious, and it was, let's open up a restaurant where everything is $7. You get it in 7 minutes or less, and it's 7 days a week. Prices have obviously gone up since then, but you're still getting like the same quality food and the same good service, that we opened up with.
Yeah, great cookies too.
Yeah.
I love it. You have to get a cookie
Fantastic
from
cookies.
Cafe
Yeah,
7
they're like
go.
quarter-pound cookies.
Oh, the best. Just that giant like Rolo or Hershey's piece, whatever it is you want to put in it. Get a cookie from Cafe 7. No brainer.
Mm-hmm.
2009. So it's quite a while until you open up your next concept then.
Yes, we did open up a Cafe 7 in downtown Oklahoma City in 2013. And then it closed down in 2020 during COVID, and we just never reopened it up. Nobody was downtown anymore. So it just made sense for us to, not, to leave it the way it was. And then we brought our partner from Cafe 7 downtown. She's now our executive chef and partner here, and her name's Stephanie Miller, and she's doing a great job.
Yeah. So in that time then, between 2009 and 2020, what are you doing? Other things to keep you busy? And I assume it's not just the restaurant, or was it?
Mainly the restaurant,
Okay.
but
could you do catering as well?
yes, we do. Yeah, but like Jay and I, we were in the restaurant every single day from open to close, and after 8-9 years of that, we realized, man, we can't expand and we can't do anything else if we're stuck here in this restaurant the whole time. So that's whenever we hired some more employees, and that enabled us to kind of get out in the community, figure out what our next step was. Then we opened up the Hamilton in 2019, and then in Dado's in 2022.
Yeah, it's you're right in that it's a tough life, right? Coming here every day or coming into a restaurant every day, open and close, dealing with people. First example, dealing with people, it never ends. Right?
Never ends. Never ends.
Rather you're like front of house or you're just hopping between concepts.
Exactly.
Like the phone's always ringing. There's always someone that has something for you.
Yep.
And it's hard to kind of separate, but you have to separate in order to build.
Exactly, and that's whenever people ask me what they need to do to be able to take the next step, to open up another location, I'm like, and I tell them, you can't be there from open to close, because that doesn't give you a chance to go out and scout real estate, set up meetings with investors, set up meetings with banks. Just us not having to be there from open to close, it opened up a whole new world of possibilities for us. And now we're in growth mode, and we're ready to start opening up some more concepts.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about this place. You said you wanted to do something that was higher end.
Yes.
Like I said, you didn't think this mall was, not falling apart, but theoretically no one was coming here. But this is a great spot, right?
Yes.
It's a really cool location, and the concept clearly works. And people want to. I haven't been in a building like the restaurant like this in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're in a mall. I mean, there's no windows in the place. We don't have a mall entrance. We want people to come in through the outside, and I'm not going to say it's a difficult entrance to find, but it's not the easiest entrance to find. And that's the way we like it. We want it to be a little hidden. We want it to, we want you to have to work for it a little to get in the place. But once you make your way here, you're going to fall in love with it and you're going to come back.
Yeah. What was it that was different that kind of stretched your, talents, abilities? It's different to Cafe 7, right? So that's something that's new to you, new to open up a new concept. It would have been a lot easier to open up multiple Cafe 7s because you have the formula.
Yep.
But like you said, you started something that's a little more upscale, a little bit hidden, a little different. And then that's exciting. Yeah.
So we hired some general managers that had a lot of fine dining experience. So, what we lacked in day-to-day operations of operating a semi-fine dining restaurant, our general managers picked up that slack for us. And then we kind of just, they taught us along the way, and we learned a bunch from them. We had never had a wait staff before. So, trying to figure out how many wait staff or how many people per table, it was a pretty big learning curve for us. But our management staff made it 10 times easier on us than it would have been if we would have had to do it by ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like the key there is finding the right people, right? And doubling down and getting, being humble enough to ask for help.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because it seems like Oklahoma, especially in Oklahoma City, people want to help.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt about it. I mean, whenever we were opening up this space, we had some of our regulars bringing in stuff for the wall. Some of the stuff you see hanging on the wall came from regulars.
Yeah.
And, they wanted to be a part of it, and we were more than happy to let them be a part of it since, we wouldn't be where we are today without them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if people are listening, if they've ever been here before, there was a lot of photos on the walls. And I asked you before we started recording, where do you find all this stuff, right? Because, you can't just go to a thrift store and just pick up. Yeah, you can pick up frames, but you've got to put people in those frames. And like you just said, people are just bringing old family photos or photos of, their whatever it is on the wall, and everything fits too. Everything's got an aesthetic that goes together.
All the black and white photos, we had our employees bring in black and white photos of their family, and that's what's in all the frames in this space and in the the original part of Hamilton.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite pieces or anything that you're like, wow, someone actually brought this in? Anything that stands out to you?
I'm kind of partial to the OSU, retro OSU band uniform.
Where did you find that?
I think it was sitting in somebody's garage, and I have no clue where we got it. But it wasn't from anybody that worked here. And then the OSU pennant came from, or the OU pennant came from a guest, and she's in here quite a bit. And even though we didn't go to OU, we're more than happy to hang it on the wall.
People who know you know that you're an OSU diehard.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
No, that's fantastic. Let's go to Dado's then. So Dado's obviously, voted best pizza in Oklahoma City. No surprise there at all. Where does the idea come from? And then we can dive into, how it is so different and how you set it apart. Because the one thing is we're not short of great pizza places in Oklahoma.
No doubt. Right? There are a ton of great pizza places.
And I'm sure you guys are all sort of, close and that's what seems to me about Oklahoma City too, is that everyone knows each other, and the place is big enough for all of us.
Yeah.
But you got Rachel at Empire, you got Gannon and Angie at Saucy Sicilian. You got there's so many. But you guys are obviously different as well.
Yep.
That's the beauty of it. So
exactly.
How does that come about? Where does the idea come from? And the location too. And you're right next to Lovato's, which a lot of people in the strip mall area would think that's a crazy location, but it's very...
It is a dumb location.
But still, it's for a business, it's cheap. And
yes.
then, it's sort of like you build it, they will come, right? It doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah.
When people see you're the best, they want to come and try it.
Yeah. So
tell me about Dado's.
So I have a friend that lives in Harlem. He's 4 or 5 years younger than me, and I've known him for, a little over 20 years now. But he called me back in 2020, was like, hey, I'm thinking of opening up a pizza place. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Let me know, because I'd love to come up there and try it out, or, help you open up, or, anything you need, just let me know. So he gets his pizza place opened up, and it's called Dado's Pizza. It's on 127th and St. Nick's in Harlem. And I take a trip up there 2021, 2022 New Year's. New Year's Day of 2022, I make it to his pizza shop. I have one slice, I take one bite, and I go, holy crap. This is the best pizza I've ever had. Like, I have to bring this to Oklahoma City. And he said, let's do it. So, I have a picture of the first slice of pizza I ate there. It's a slice of pepperoni. I have a Topo Chico sitting next to it, and some Mike's Hot Honey. And, that piece of pizza I felt like was life-changing for me. Like, the best pizza I've ever had in my life. So, that was that was 2021. That was 2022. We go to a pizza expo in Vegas, March of 2022. November, we have Dado's OKC opened.
Quick.
Pretty quick, yeah. I feel like it was, from the time that I said, hey, Jay, let's open up a pizza place, and he was like, okay, let's do it, to the time we got it open, things moved pretty quickly.
Yeah. What separates you among the rest then? Because, there's something special, obviously, and I know it's something to do with the water, but we'd love to hear you dive into that and talk about it in detail.
So, you go to New York, and everybody always, the bagels, the pizza, what's the difference? Oh, it's in the water. And I never put much thought into it. I always just thought it was some wise tale. But it turns out that New York has some of the purest water in the world. It flows through the Catskill Mountains. It gets ultra filtered, flowing through all that granite, picks up all that mineral content. So that was like our problem, is how do we replicate the dough to make it taste like the original? And when we were out in Pizza Expo, Jay had found a company called New York Water Maker. And what they can do is they can take any water from any city and duplicate it in terms of water hardness, mineral content, pH, and that's exactly what they did for us. We gave them a water sample from Dado's in Harlem, and then they figured out the chemical makeup of it, and we sent them a water sample, and they built us this system that's an ozonator, filters, a mineral tank, and then those get changed out. Every quarter, and then we send a water sample back just to make sure that we are, where we need to be chemical makeup wise. And if it's not within the range, then they resend us out what they need to get, because these filters are made specifically for us, and so is that mineral tank. So if something's not right, they can adjust everything, make the filters from scratch, redo the mineral tank to make it be the original.
Yeah. What was that investment? And obviously, you're out there and you're in this expo, and there's like everything to learn about pizza, down to every detail. And you see this water thing, and you're like, I guess this is it.
We're the only pizza place in Oklahoma to have it. It was a surprise. Like, we didn't know it could be done.
Yeah.
Like, they were telling us about breweries. Breweries wanted second locations, but they couldn't get the water right in different states, and so breweries were using their system for the water. We were skeptical at first, but then we got the system in, and whenever we were testing dough before we got that system, our dough would proof in 24 hours. Once we got the water system installed, it took our proofing process from 24 hours to 72 hours, so it had more time to develop the gluten, develop the flavor. We get a bigger stretch on the crust. You get more flavor in the crust, and we were believers right after that.
Yeah. And it's first thing I thought of when you said the water is different in different places is back home in the UK, when I would go and have a cup of tea, and this sounds so British of me, and you're probably going to laugh at me, but I would have a cup of tea at my nan's house, which was 2 miles away from my current house, and I would go to my other grandparents' house, and they were totally different tastes, and it's all because of the water.
Yep. Right? I remember at both the Cafe 7s, the downtown water would taste completely different than the water up here on North May.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a real thing.
Yeah. Other than that, other than the water side of things, what really stood out to you, and what did you really learn about the pizza business that you never knew before? Because you guys have pizza at Cafe 7, right?
Right, we do. I mean, at Cafe 7, we use a par cooked crust.
Yeah.
You know, we're going for. We want the highest quality, but we're kind of constricted with what our price point is. With Dado's, what kind of opened my eyes was, you know, I thought that everybody just got bagged cheese in, but we are hand shredding our own cheese. We are making our own Italian sausage. And the cheese we're buying is some of the highest quality, you know, whole milk mozzarella that you can buy, called Grande, and we tasted, you know, 20 different cheeses, you know, and we knew what we were going to use because that's what Dado's in Harlem was using. But at the Pizza Expo, they have all these cheese companies there, and you can taste the difference when you line them up side by side. Yeah. The tomatoes we use for our tomato sauce or for our pizza sauce, I mean, the taste difference is night and day between, you know, let's say something that you can buy commercially store-bought and what we're using. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. And I mean, you're at this pizza expo in Vegas, which I'm sure you're eating cheese and pepperoni and pizza all day.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you're like, I'm sick and tired of pizza right now. But it's you have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's one of the downfalls of the job is we have to eat pizza and go to these expos in Vegas all the time.
Really hard work.
Yeah, very hard work.
The good thing is those expos are massive, and you're doing a lot of steps those days and walking it off, right? Yeah. Yeah, so Dado's, like I said, hasn't been open that long. Do you plan to open another one? Do you think that, you know, there's capacity, I think, to open more? And you mentioned Tulsa earlier, too. Do you have concepts going to Tulsa or think about Tulsa?
So we have some sister restaurants in Tulsa. A lot of our concepts have the same owners, but we do Boston Avenue Grill in Tulsa. It's downtown. The 2 New York Bagels, Roosevelt's, and R Bar. Okay. But we're all kind of affiliated together. You know, we're all friends. We go way back. But yeah, you know, if they need any help with anything, we come over and help. If we need help, they'll come over and help, and kind of just bounce ideas off each other. And, you know, the more people you have, the more knowledge you have, you know.
What's the Tulsa pizza scene like? Is anyone using the water filtration system in Tulsa?
Not that I'm aware of. Okay. I think we're the only restaurant in Oklahoma City that uses New York Water Maker. Yeah. I mean, I know that true to be a fact, you know, as of like 6 months ago. I'm not sure within the past 6 months, but I'm pretty sure we're still the only one using that water system. But I mean, as far as Dado's goes, there's some possibility to open up other ones. We kind of have a couple of new projects on the horizon that we're concentrated on right now. But, you know, after those, who knows? Maybe, you know, people in Edmond have been dying for a Dado's, and people in Norman have asked us, so maybe that's where we'll go next.
Yeah, because you're kind of right in the middle, right?
Exactly.
Where you are. You're like, some people from Oklahoma City have to travel up for it, and there's this joke that no one who lives in downtown Oklahoma City travels north of 63rd, but there's also this joke that people in Edmond don't go south of 63rd either, so you got to figure it out. We'll figure it out.
I mean, I live in the village, and I don't go past 63rd. I don't go north of 154th either.
Yeah, we live in our little kind of worlds, right? But yeah, I think there's huge opportunity for both, right? Just regardless, even if it's just a slice shop, you know, just to go or whatever. But great pizza. Do you have a favorite?
Probably just the margarita is probably my favorite. It's just so simple. I mean, it's just tomato sauce and cheese and fresh basil. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that, and there's so much flavor in it, and that's probably my favorite slice.
Was it strategic to have it as big as it is? Because it's a huge pizza.
That's how big they are at Dado's in Harlem. Okay. So it's a 20-inch pizza. Yeah. And so, you know, we kind of, you know, pretty much everything we do, all the recipes are the same, but then we also have some free reign to do whatever other pizzas we want to do. You know, we did that green bean casserole pizza during Thanksgiving. We had the Oki onion burger pie last month. We have the grinder pie this month with the gabagool beer from Rough Tail Brewing this month. So, I mean, we have a lot of free reign to do whatever we want.
Yeah. Is the business in Harlem more slice compared to what it is here, or is it the same whole pizza and like same model that you guys use here? I'm just curious about the markets.
It's definitely more slice. Okay. You have all that foot traffic there, and people are just getting slices all day long, which, that was like one thing we kind of underestimated was, we weren't as busy as we were from the beginning, but it's because we don't have the foot traffic. Yeah. And, it's lunch traffic, and then it's dead for 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon, and then it picks up for dinner. Yeah. And the one in Harlem, it is just foot traffic all day long, coming in and out of that place.
Yeah, just turning slices all the time. Yeah. You mentioned you got some things that you were already working on that are coming that kind of push expansion on, Dado's maybe to a couple of years' time. What is it that you're working on? What's coming up?
So we have a sports bar that we're going to start on here within the next month. It's going to be called Bush League Sports Tavern. We're going to have golf bays, shuffleboard, golden tee. There's a new dart technology that's out where it tracks there'll be TVs above the dartboard, but it'll track the dart real time through the air. Oh, wow. There will be a sports ticker. We'll have live betting odds on some of the TVs. All the food will be made from scratch. But it's not just, we're not going to be just, bar food. There's going to be a little elevated bar food, great food, family friendly, and then just a place where you can come and catch pretty much any sporting event you want.
Yeah. Where'd the idea for that come from? Because it sounds like everything we've talked about, they're all different.
Yes.
Cafe 7's different to the Hamilton, and then obviously you open up a pizza place, and some people might go for the safe bet and just keep opening the same concept. But you guys are like, no, let's try this.
Yeah, let's try something.
Yeah, let's test the water and do something different.
That hasn't worked yet.
Yeah, so I'm interested that one of my questions is why? Why do you decide to keep doing something different? And then the next question is, why a sports bar?
We like the variety of having like different concepts. And don't get me wrong, I would like to start duplicating some of these in the future, but I think it's cool to have unique concepts that are unique to Oklahoma City, that are only in Oklahoma City, and I feel like that's what, the citizens and the diners of Oklahoma City deserve. They deserve to have unique options, and that's what we want to do. We want to offer something unique.
Yeah. And with the Bush League sport, there's a lot going on. You talk about, It's not just there's a lot of sports activities, with golf bays and dart technology and live betting.
Yep.
Was that another kind of Vegas convention thing as well?
That just kind of came about because, we're pretty certain that sports gambling is going to be legalized here within the next year, I would think. And that just gives, another entertainment option, or add some more value to the place that, hey, you can come in, you can see what the live betting odds are, maybe place a couple bets, and have a beer, have a great meal while you're at it.
Yeah. Do you have a location set for that yet?
Yes.
You like to share that?
Right next to Hamilton. Oh, right. Just on the very north side of North Park.
Okay, yeah. Right next door.
Yep, right next door.
Yeah, it's and I think a lot of people, me growing up, right? I grew up with that pub culture of, you go into the pub one or two times a week at least. Sometimes it's a weeknight to watch a football game or a rugby game, and obviously it's on the weekend again to watch games. But it's hard to replicate that here. Mm-hmm. Of that kind of house feeling. Yeah. Of you feel like you're in someone's house watching a game, but then you add in the betting and the interactive stuff. Right. You don't have to be watching a game to go hit golf balls and play darts.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then you add in great food as well.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
You don't even need to like football or basketball. If you want to come in and, play some darts, come in and play some darts. You don't have to pay any attention to TVs. If you want to come in and, hit some golf balls. Exactly. Uh-huh. You can come in and do that. It's not just football, basketball, and baseball.
Yeah. Are you kind of the type of person that just has a notepad in the background that you just scribble ideas on, and one day you might get to one of them? Or is it just more of we've done this is cool, this is on its own path, it's running itself now let's think of something else?
It's more the second one. Okay. We wait till we get something open and it's running itself, and we're all right, let's move on to the next idea. Okay. But we do have a couple of ideas, that we've talked about, socked away. We always are trying to keep our options open. We make trips to different cities. try out different things, go to different bars, like see if like, hey, is there something here that Oklahoma City could support that they don't have yet? So I mean, we're always looking for some new options.
Yeah. The beauty of being in the middle of the country is you go to both coasts and see what's coming this way. Eventually, it ends up in the center, but you get to go and test.
Yep. I mean, we're a 3-hour plane ride from New York, 3-hour plane ride from LA, 2-hour plane, 2:45 from Las Vegas. I mean, so we can get pretty much anywhere we want.
Yeah.
And if we see something cool like online or on Instagram, we're like, let's plan a trip out there. Let's go check that out.
There's a place in London, and I think there are 2 in London. It's an indoor putt-putt, and it's got a great name to it. It's called Swingers. I'll send you the website. It's fantastic. And basically, it's like 2 or 3 stories, putt-putt, but it's like it's been built. It's incredible. It's not just your typical like, hey, this looks like it's been built by a 5-year-old.
Right.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
They have kind of like, it's like a collective style vibe of bars and restaurants surrounding it, DJ night scene. It's centered around putt-putt, but they do it to another. It's like bringing putt-putt into this place, right?
See, now I'm going to have to like book a trip to London.
Yeah. So poor you that's going to have to go on a business trip.
Maybe after New Year's.
Exactly. But no, there's things like the beauty of it, right? You get to go and test things and go and see things, and you bring it back to Oklahoma, and like, maybe this doesn't work right now, but 3 or 4 years it will.
Exactly.
And that's the great thing. And I don't think people realize that about how people in the restaurant industry and bar industry get to really go and see what's coming this way and get to take advantage of that. There's not a lot of industries that get to do that.
No. I mean, I tell people, they're like, what'd you do this week? Oh, I went to New York for a work trip. Oh, what'd you do? Just ate and drank the whole time, 24 hours a day. They're like, I wish my work trips were like that. They're stuck in like meetings or conferences all day, and we're just hopping around to different restaurants, different bars, trying different cocktails, trying different types of food, and it's good business to be in.
Yeah. Is there anything, money no object, location no object that you would love to be, at the end of, if I came to you in 25, 30 years, and you were like, I'm proud to bring this to Oklahoma City. Is there anything that you would bring if the city would support it?
I mean, I don't think there's enough money, but I would love to have an In-N-Out burger here. I mean, just for selfish reasons, because I know it would be packed all the time. And I mean, it's just like one of those, I feel like it's one of those places that you grew up like hearing about, and you would maybe get to go to one if you were in California or on the West Coast somewhere. And, but yeah, I mean, I love In-N-Out, and like their model, I mean, it is incredible. They are so busy. They run such a smooth and clean business. I mean, I would love to bring one of those here. But other than that, I really can't think of anything else. I mean, that's probably the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah. You guys ever think about getting into, I don't know, the donut space, pastry space, breakfast sort of scene?
We thought about breakfast. Not pastries, not donuts. We're horrible bakers. We kind of just stick to what we know. I mean, we could hire a great baker, no doubt. But, I like... we like lunch and dinner spots. I feel like that's kind of like our expertise. And, we did breakfast at Downtown Cafe 7, which, it wasn't like a big breakfast menu, but I mean, we still did it. And, but I like to eat breakfast, but I don't like to wake up early.
Yeah, that's making your workday a lot earlier, right? And your nights get a lot longer at that point too. What about, do you ever get a chance to go back to Oklahoma State and kind of, you and Jay and your team that you have, like your successful products of Oklahoma State, and his capstone project is a real thing now. So interested to know if you guys ever get called back to do talks at the business, part or whatever it is.
So Jay is involved with the School Hotel Restaurant and the Spears School of Business. And then we're actually hosting some hotel restaurant students in 2 weeks at Cafe 7. We're going to do a lunch for them, and then, kind of speak to them about our experiences, and then have a little Q&A with them. But it definitely is something that I would like to do. and I know Jay would like to as well, get a little more involved with the school hotel restaurant. But right now, like, Jay's making those connections, and he's a whole lot better at public speaking and being the face of the company than I am, so I prefer to, like, just stay in the back in the shadows.
Well, I mean, that's why you're great partners, right? You both are good at, sometimes you find best friends out there and you're both good at the same thing. You're like, this is not going to be, we need to find someone that's good at something else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're pretty much complete opposites. Like, I can take care of all the back of the house stuff and, deal with all the employees and, set up all the catering stuff. And, Jay's the people person.
Yeah.
He just has that personality. And so, I mean, that's what he's good at.
Yeah.
So,
well, and over the years, I'm sure you get, like, you're about to host kids from OSU, like, you get asked for advice all the time, I'm sure, because of the concepts and the time that you've been involved in this industry and how this industry has evolved, and obviously the different restaurants concepts you have too. I'm sure you get asked for advice, but the good thing is, because you've been in it so long, that advice has now changed over the years.
Right.
You always learn from what you should have done.
Exactly.
And so, I'm interested to know now, like, what was the advice that you would give someone now versus the advice that you'd give someone if you started, if Cafe 7 was having its 5-year anniversary today?
Man, it would be just, don't be so hard on yourself. I mean, because in the beginning, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And don't get me wrong, I still make a lot of mistakes. But, 15 years ago, anytime I would make a littlest mistake, I would be so hard on myself and beat myself up. And, I mean, that's just part of learning, and that's part of getting better. And, now when I make mistakes, I mean, I'm like, yeah, that was kind of a dumb thing I did. But, I've learned my lesson. Let's move on. So, I mean, that'd just be my biggest piece of advice is, the more you beat yourself up, the worse it's going to get. And you're going to make mistakes and just learn from them and move on.
Yeah. One of my, I'm the opposite. I'm the type of person that has a million ideas and will one day get to one of them. And one of, like, that's, I'm always thinking about something, but I always got something to write down. And for me, like, I love cars. I've always loved cars. And there's a great spot back home. It's like it was a pub and hotel that they turned into like a mecca for cars. Basically, it's called Caffeine and Machine, and it's a pub restaurant, but they host car events all the time.
Okay.
We don't have one here yet, and so for me, it's like I think, okay, well, if you were to do one, you have the concept, you can copy it off them. But still, it's all the intricate details that you mentioned, right? It's all like the staffing and there's so much to it.
Exactly.
And so, and I have no restaurant experience at all, zero, I just like cars and coffee, and they seem to go together pretty well for most people. But yeah, there's so many different ways to go about it and so many ways to be successful. But you're right, you have to have a good team and a good customer base to do that, and a loyal customer base.
I mean, like, there's no way that, Jay, myself, Stephanie, there's no way we'd be able to do this without our staff. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, we have a very low turnover, which we're proud to say is well below the national average for the restaurant industry. But I mean, we treat our employees like their family. Like, we treat them like we want to be treated. Mm-hmm. So, and we're not always profit. I mean, we still want profits, but the people are just as important as the profit, because the people are the ones helping us earn profits.
Yeah, it's people business.
Yeah,
right? And especially when you're in the hospitality world, people are coming here for birthdays. They're coming here for lunch meetings. They might be reuniting with a parent or a sibling that they lost. Like, you never know, right? Why the reason that those two people or three or group are sat together. But the one thing you do know is that you can give them a great service, and then they'll always remember that. And you build a loyal customer base through that way. And regardless if that's people setting up a tradition that they get pizza every, Thunder home game or whatever it is, you guys get to be kind of like a small part of that.
Yep. That's why we do it.
Yeah. It's, and again, you go back to thinking, the pivot that puts you in this position, like. Yep. You probably think to yourself sometimes, like, where would I have been if I hadn't gone into a hotel?
Oh my gosh.
Like, you're pushing paper side of desk somewhere, right?
I mean, I'd be sitting at a desk somewhere and I'd be miserable if he wouldn't have said, let's join the hotel restaurant program. I probably would have flunked out of school.
Right. Did any of your family in the industry after watching you go?
No.
No.
Nope.
They stayed as far away from as possible.
I'm the only one. Everybody else is like nurses, engineers. My younger brother, he's a plant manager for Hormel. But yeah, I mean, nobody got into the food business.
Yeah,
they were smart.
True. Is there anything you mentioned being the business and the operations side of things? Do you like to get in the kitchen and cook? Do you have that skill?
I do.
As an enjoyment factor, not like a work factor?
I'm not really creative when it comes to food, but I mean, I can get back there and I can work the grill on a Friday or Saturday night and, do it just as good as our normal grill guy. I cook at home, probably 4 or 5 nights a week. So, I mean, I used to not like coming home and cooking just because I used to do it all the time. But now that I don't have to be in the restaurant working the line, open to close, I mean, it's kind of, it's led me to enjoy cooking, for pleasure a whole lot more instead of it just being like a burden, Yeah,
it's funny when I ask, restaurant owners or chefs that, they're like, I never cook at home. Why would I do that, Which makes a lot of sense, right? The fact that, because of it's work. You've done it for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Why would I want to go home and cook food for my family?
I mean, before I got married, I would cook one meal at my house a month. Maybe one meal, and the rest was eating out and takeout. I mean, I was doing zero cooking at home.
Yeah, you mentioned growing up, Mum always was chicken and vegetables. Do you have any specialties that or that you remember from your childhood that you like to bring back every now and then for your family?
No, because I ate it all the time, and I just got so sick of it.
Did Mum move here? Mum family move here, or was it the generation before your parents?
No, so I'm adopted.
Oh, okay.
So all seven of us are adopted.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to your parents for that.
Yep. So my dad's from Southern Oklahoma or Southern Texas. My mom's from Northern Oklahoma, right up by Ponca City, and I mean, it was just chicken and some veggies and maybe a starch every day, and it was good, but it was just like every day. So I kind of just was like, man, I don't want to eat this again.
No, food was fuel at that point.
Exactly.
It wasn't an occasion, and there wasn't different things on the menu, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Have you looked into your family history? Where does that come from?
I have not looked into my family history. I don't really never had the desire to.
Okay.
One of my sisters, she's kind of interested in it, but I really have never had the desire to go look. I would like to go back because we're all born in South Korea.
Okay.
So I would like to go back there just to visit and see what it's like because I hear it's beautiful and amazing. So maybe here in a couple years, maybe I'll take the trip over there. Yeah. But the adoption agency that I was adopted from, they used to have like a program where they would kind of help you, find your birth parents, but I don't think they don't offer that anymore, which, that didn't appeal to me anyways. I was just more interested in going back and checking it out.
It's quite a hard service.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's, to keep all that data and, whatever the reason was that you want to, you guys are all, and the good thing is, and shout out to your parents, that you guys are still together.
Yeah. I mean, especially like back in the 1970s and 80s when they adopted all these kids, like everything's on paper, probably on paper in a file cabinet. Nothing was electronic.
God, 7 of you too. That's incredible. I have friends who are adopt. They adopt as well, and it's hands up. It's an incredible thing that parents do to adopt, especially if they already have kids too.
Yeah.
To adopt and to adopt 7 siblings is fantastic, and I'm sure you're extremely grateful for that. To be that. How old were you when you were adopted?
6 months.
Oh wow! So it's really 6 months. You don't really know. Yeah. Which is, I mean, I have no experience of adoption, but if I were to be adopted, you'd kind of probably want to know. Yeah,
a lot of
you want to be as young as possible.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of adoptions are, especially like overseas adoptions are 6 months to like 2 years old.
Yeah.
So you really don't remember anything.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's incredible, amazing turn of of events, right? Who knew? Again, back then, if someone doesn't adopt you, where do you go? Or you get adopted in Texas, or you get adopted in New York. Who knows? And then it all kicks off from there, and you don't meet, you don't go to Oklahoma State, you don't meet Jay, you don't have a restaurant concept.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think like where you started and
where the dominoes fall.
How certain things in your life led you to where you are now.
Yeah. So, rounding out, football season's coming up.
Yes.
Big Oklahoma State fan. We got new teams in the conference.
Love it.
Are you going to go to any away games?
I'm going to try to go to a couple games this year. Not sure which ones.
Yeah.
If Arizona was playing, if we were playing Arizona out there, I'd probably try to go to that one.
Yeah.
But maybe that'll be next year. But I'll definitely try to go to a couple games here. At least that's the plan.
Yeah. That would be the same for me too. It's such an easy flight to go to Scottsdale, and who doesn't enjoy going to Scottsdale? It's such a great spot. I love ASU. Yes. What a place! Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, last thing. What is if you're not going to eat at one of your own concepts? It's not something I'm not going to say. Don't shout out your competition, but where are some of your favorite spots to dine other than your own spots in Oklahoma City? Because our food scene is fantastic.
It is. It's awesome. Man, that is. I love going to Symmetry for a steak. It's a relatively new spot off in Cassidy Square. Great owners, fantastic steak. Correll's Delicatessen in Yukon. Best Philly cheesesteak in Oklahoma City. Like the best soups. He has the best. He just has great sandwiches there.
Okay. Haven't been there. I'm gonna have to check it out.
It is. It's amazing. Man. I love me some Zorbas for Mediterranean. And then, as far as like a burger goes, I love Johnny's. Great onion rings, great fries, great burger. I mean, those are like the ones that are like in my rotation.
Yeah.
They're all kind of, well, with the exception of Correll's, they're all close to my house. But when I'm not eating one of our restaurants, that's where I'm going.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, mate, really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for sharing some awesome stories. Good luck with the new concept that's coming out next year. We'll stay tuned for that one. Keep an eye on the social medias for that one. Great sports bar, something different and something that keeps you on your toes, for sure. And for people listening, I'll put the links to Hamilton Instagram, Dado's Instagram, Cafe 7, social media, stuff like that, so you guys can go check them out if you haven't already. And thanks for listening. We'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thanks.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And the one thing that I do with the sponsors that I have is stuff that I use and recommend, like the Diffies with my car, Hall of Fame, They're awesome. Citizens Banks, where I bank, Chickasaw Nation, huge supporter of Oklahoma. And adding to that is the doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too. But I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC, and hopefully our pups will run into each other. This episode is brought to you by the Oklahoma State Treasurer Unclaimed Property Division. Oklahoma has more than $1 billion of unclaimed property. Reclaim what's rightfully yours. Visit YourMoney.ok.gov and enter your name to find out if you have lost money from utility deposits, uncashed checks, life insurance policies, or more. If you've got a minute, search for free and visit YourMoney.ok.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.